On today's episode, we are going to talk about how the Bills are actually featured on a popular video game, the top 3 biggest needs going into the draft, how Brandon Beane wants to, dial back the physical nature of Josh Allen, and how a familiar face rejoins the defensive tackle room here on today's episode of the Wandering Buffalo podcast.
You're now listening to the Wandering Buffalo podcast with your hosts, Andrew Chang and Justin Godwin.
Welcome in, everybody, and thanks for joining me on another episode of the Wandering Buffalo podcast, a show here on the Buffalo FamBase network. You can find me and this show on most social media and podcasting platforms, and of course on YouTube by searching up the Wandering Buffalo podcast. I am your host, Two Changs, and my co-host, Jay Gods 22, is unfortunately not here. He's got obligations. He covered for me for a bunch of episodes, so I think he's entitled to take a break here and there. But he's spending it with family, so good reasons. Anyways, today's episode is gonna be, how do I want to say this? Kind of short, and I'm going to stagger things so the old news is at the end, because I'm recording this on March 30th, and by the time we actually publish this episode, some of the stuff is probably going to be old, so I just got to put that out there. And I just want to say, if you're listening to this, thank you. Thank you for listening, and appreciate you for everything that you do. But let's get right into it. The Buffalo Bills, and this for me, this sounds weird. The Buffalo Bills have a theme in the Fort game map, which launches an NFL zone, and it's kind of weird to me. I played Fortnite for a little bit, and then it just got kind of annoying, but there's no doubt that Fortnite's platform is still massive. Now, we're not talking about NFL massive, but the fact that the Bills are being featured on such a monster-sized game as Fortnite, by the way, it's free if you ever wanted to play it, and if you're a Bills fan, you want to just check out that little feature of the Bills. I know I will, just because it's Buffalo Bills theme. It's just cool to me, right? You think about how your team, we want our team to be loved so much and get that recognition, and not to beat a dead horse, but it's been so long since the Bills have been good. I don't even think, I've been a fan my entire life, and they've been in the drought my entire life. Well, maybe not my entire life, but my entire football life. So to see them in this spotlight for the past 4, 5, 6 years is really cool to me. It's I don't know how to act. It's like when you get invited to hang out with a group of people that you think are too cool for you, but you're there and you're just like, oh my God, what do I do? What am I doing with my hands? Why am I shaking my hands? You can't see it, but I'm shaking my hands right now. But you're okay, you're getting in your own head. You just don't know what's going on. That's how I kind of feel about how the Bills are getting recognition. And I don't think I'm ever going to get used to it. And if I do get used to it, that probably means that the Bills have built a dynasty. A straight up dynasty. I'm talking like Tom Brady and the Patriots dynasty. Where everyone in Boston just expects a parade no matter what from any other sports team. Nothing would make me happier to be in that position, but I'm a realistic fan here, and I just need one goddamn Super Bowl. And I want more. Big difference. I need one. I want more. But like I said, just the Bills theme map on Fortnite is just really cool, and I don't really know how else to put it out there besides I'm gonna download it and play it. I'm probably gonna get dusted by someone less than half my age, But, I'm going to have fun for a little bit until I inevitably swear to myself and just go like, I'm never going to play Fortnite again. All right, let's get into like the big part of this episode. And to me, that's the draft. So free agency is still going on, but we already went through the first, second, third wave. We talked about the DeAndre Hopkins trade rumor. Hop Watch is still happening. We don't know what's happening with OBJ. Well, we do know what's happening with OBJ. He's a free agent, and it looks like he's drawing attention from a couple of people. And Hopkins, like, obviously the Bills should and want to get him, but apparently it might not be worth it, or might not be in the cards, as reported by Tim Graham. And again, you probably already know this, but I always like to think that I never read too much into social media or just reports, because usually when a team says, yeah, we're probably not in on it, that doesn't mean that they're completely out. Or they could just be like doing some smokescreen stuff. And usually the Bills are straight shooters and nothing really comes out of one Bills drive. So the fact that I'm hearing this through Tim Graham, I'm not saying that he's not he's not credible. But what I am saying is that it doesn't completely take it off the table. It probably decreases my level of excitement a bit. Actually, probably tones it down about half. But I still just get excited because I'm just thinking about Josh Allen throwing a bomb to D-Hop, throwing it to OBJ. And they're going to be probably the second option in this offense because we got Stephon Diggs, right? And if we don't get either of those receivers, then we go into the draft with a need at wide receiver. But that's not the only need that the Buffalo Bills have. We have so many needs on this team, and obviously some are more important to others, but that is the same thing that goes on with every NFL team. There's a need at every single position on this roster. Some are just more important than others. Quarterback, for example, we have Josh Allen. Probably not going to be a quarterback taken by the Buffalo Bills in the first round. But I could see them pulling the trigger on someone maybe later in the round. Probably because, Brandon Beane's like, man, I'm just keep on throwing money at these backup quarterbacks. Eventually, they're probably going to take one, not named Jake Fromm, because obviously that didn't work out. But I like the idea of it. You were willing to roll the dice, get someone, maybe develop them, keep them here. Free, well, not free, but cheap, easy labor. Really cheap. And that's just going back to my example that there are needs on this team. And I'm just going to address my personal opinion of what are the top 3 biggest needs. And for me, I mean, it's no doubt in my mind, the biggest need is linebacker, followed by second, which I really, obviously, Bills fans, we're tired of doing this or seeing this, but it's got to be the defensive line, whether that's the edge or the defensive tackle room. We need more depth there and more impact players. And then number 3 for me is probably wide receiver, right? We have Stephon Diggs. We need more. I think the Bills need more juice in the wide receiver room because Gabe Davis didn't necessarily perform to my liking last season, but that doesn't mean that the Bills have a bad wide receiver room. I'd argue that they have a top upper echelon wide receiver room in the NFL. They don't have 2 number ones, but they have a really, really good number 1. They have a really good number 1 in Stephon Diggs, and I love it. But for that reason, that's why I'm putting wide receiver at the bottom. And the reason why I'm putting defensive tackle or defensive end in number 2 in needs is because we have Tim Settle, Ed Oliver, Daquan Jones, and Jordan Phillips, who just resigned, who we'll talk about later, that's pretty much it, except for like some practice squad people. And none of those players are like have a contract after this year. That's huge. Like that really makes me nervous, and I don't really necessarily know how Brandon Beanes is going to navigate that need, if he's going to address it next season and like really like go like, okay, pinpoint the number one need that the Buffalo Bills have, kind of like what I'm about to talk about with linebackers, but go like, hey, we really need to get ahead of this need, or do we wait till next offseason and address it then? I don't know. I don't know what Brandon Beane's going to do. And then here's the last thing. We got to talk about linebacker, because I just do not trust Terrell Bernard back there. I love the Bills. I did not understand the pick. I was, really optimistic, though, because I'm just like, well, they get paid the big bucks to make these decisions, and I'm just a, average Joe that's sitting at a desk, right? But anytime we saw Terrell Bernard play, it wasn't really impressive. He looked a little lost, and it kind of gave me some similarities to when Tremaine Edmonds first took the field, when it was like, I don't know, the preseason or his rookie year. I just thought to myself, like, oh my God, we used a first-round pick on Tremaine Edmonds? But eventually, obviously, Tremaine developed, and that's not to say Terrell can't develop. I just don't think his ceiling is as high as Tremaine Edmonds. So that's kind of a big problem, if you ask me. But I did so many mock drafts, Bills Mafia. I did so many mock drafts, and that's probably going to be on an episode of itself. But Jack Campbell's always there with the first pick, but he's not there with the second pick. And I don't really know what to do. Is it too much? Are you giving up too much to go get Jack Campbell in the first round? Is that like a waste of your first round pick? And I'm not saying he's a waste, but I'm saying it might be a reach. And at the time, I'd say this is the move I'm looking for. Remember when the Bills drafted Ed Oliver? Now it turns out like maybe that pick wasn't the best considering who went after Ed Oliver. But if you look at that pick and where it came from, the Bills picked number 9 at that draft. TJ Hawkinson just got drafted before by the Lions, and the Buffalo Bills had a glaring need at defensive tackle because Kyle Williams had just retired, and the value of Ed Oliver was huge because he slipped down the board a little bit. It was the perfect marriage between need and value in one. And that's what I'm looking for in every single draft, every single pick. But if we take Jack Campbell with the number 27th pick, I don't necessarily think that's the perfect marriage of need and value. I think it's more of a reach on need, and are we going to kick ourselves down the road because who we could have had? Right? We like to do that as Bills fans, and we just like to do that in general as people. Like, we're just going to like, oh, dang. It's like when your significant other or your friends like all go out to a restaurant and you're like, I could get the cheesesteak, but you know what? I'm going to grab like the chicken bacon ranch sandwich instead. And then you see your friend get the cheesesteak and you're like, God damn it. I should have got that. I could have gotten this maybe at a different time or got it some other way or form, as I don't know, but you get what I'm saying. And although it's a huge need, and I am a big proponent of like need and value being the perfect marriage, I just think the need is so overwhelmingly obvious that the Bills, if he's in range, I might argue just to trade up and make sure you can get him. Like, remember last year when the Bills traded up to get Kaiir Elam? I only think they did that because someone got off the board, or the Chiefs traded up and got someone. I forgot what cornerback they took. But I think that kind of stunned the Bills a little bit, and they were like hoping that the board was just going to fall to them. Now, that's not to say that I don't think Kaiir Elam wasn't their original pick, but I do think that it lit a fire under Beane, going like, okay, enough is enough. I'm not playing around. There's only one more like cornerback who we have a first round grade on. We got to go up and get him. We just got to go up and get him. And I think that Brandon Beane should do that again if he does in fact have a number one pick for Jack Campbell. Just don't wait around and let someone come and scoop your guy from you. That would be terrible. That would be terrible. And I hope that doesn't happen. And if it does, I trust Brandon Beane to reorganize his draft board and address other areas of needs. It doesn't have to go linebacker, defensive tackle, wide receiver. It could go wide receiver, linebacker, defensive tackle, yada, yada, yada. It could be like literally anything. I trust Brandon Beane and this company to make the right moves, right talent acquisitions, and that's why they get paid the big bucks. And we're going to talk about it all when it eventually happens. Now, let's talk about Brandon Beane and his comments about one Josh Allen. But before we're going to do that, we're going to take a quick break. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Brother Bill. Now back to the show.
Welcome back, everyone, and we are going to finish up this episode of the Wandering Buffalo podcast. I'm Two Changs, and you can find this episode on all social media all podcasting platforms, and even on YouTube by searching up the Wandering Buffalo podcast. You can find other amazing shows on the Buffalo FamBase network by all listening platforms again, and of course the YouTube channel. If you could like, subscribe, listen to the channel, just us and anything, it'd be greatly appreciated. All right, let's get back to it. So Brandon Beane recently was interviewed, same thing with Sean McDermott, about like, hey, Josh Allen, we love him a lot, but I hope that he can dial back some of his physical nature. We don't need you to hurdle a linebacker every single play. And I'm going to play devil's advocate here, or both sides of the coin. I understand. I get it. That is an expensive man. If he goes down, it's Kyle Allen, and I don't have a lot of confidence. This team revolves around Josh Allen. Whether you want to believe it or not, it is Josh Allen. If he gets hurt, which we saw him get hurt last year, just with his UCL, things can get weird. And he still played through that, and things still got weird. I think that Brandon Beane understands. This is kind of weird, right? Because we're talking about people. But I think in Brandon Beane's mind, not only does he see Josh Allen as a person, but as an executive, he sees him as an asset and also a liability, right? It's the Josh Allen experience. Like the roller coaster squeeze, like the armchair, just your blood pressure goes up if you see him take a hit. I mean, we've seen all the really high moments of Josh Allen. How many hurdles has he done? Like 5? Stiff arm to get there. All the QB sneaks, juking people out. It's absolutely amazing. It's what makes Josh. But sometimes it just takes one hit. You remember that? I think it was his rookie year. He threw like 3 picks in the first half of that Patriots game. And then I think Jonathan Jones or Jones, like nickel corner for the Patriots, cracked him in the head. Concussion. The game was over from there. And oddly enough, I think the Josh Allen at that time, even though he threw 3 picks, was the Bills' best chance to win that game still. It's just because he was so, Josh had to be Josh. And in a way, this isn't new news if you're listening to this podcast, because every year it seems like in the offseason, Brandon Beane's like, yeah, Josh, he's great, but like I just wish he would slide or wish he would do this. And, I get it. But at the same time, and this is the other side of the coin, what do you want Josh Allen to do? He treats every game like it's the biggest stage. I really, truly believe that. He is a competitor, and I almost just cussed on this pod, but he is a damn passionate competitor. And for you to ask him to like dial that back kind of makes Josh Allen not special. Like, could you imagine if without some of those hurdles, what Josh Allen would do? He would slide. Like that regular season game 2 years ago when he hurdled over Snead. Like, we needed that. We absolutely needed that to win that regular season game. Then last year, he hurdles over, I don't know, I forgot who it was, but I think it was the safety. We absolutely needed that to win that game. The Bills need Josh to be Josh to win games. Sometimes this offense, and we all know how this offense like had so many points of criticism last year, and the reason why the Bills kept winning games is because Josh Allen had to be Josh Allen. You ask Josh Allen not to be Josh Allen or put the team on his back when he has to, what do you have? Palms in the air, man. Palms in the air. I don't know how else to describe it. Like, when this team is in a rut, Josh Allen pulls him out of the rut because he puts the team on his back. He's that damn good. And for you to ask him not to do that is a little insane to me, and it's got to be a good balance, right? And that's what it ultimately comes down to. Like that, you remember that hurdle that he did over Anthony Barr? Of course you do. Come on, if you're listening to this podcast, you know what the hell I'm talking about. Anthony Barr, Josh Allen hurdles him, rookie season. No one thought the Bills could win. This man hurdles Anthony Barr on a 3rd and 10 when the Bills were up 17 points or something like that. Yeah, it was freaking amazing. I stood up and I screamed at the TV, but at the same time, like, yeah, the Bills, Josh probably didn't need to do that. And I totally get it because he definitely didn't need to do it. But it just showed you the competitor that this team was. The changing of the guard. Just everything about this team. Just like, no, we're out here to compete every single play, and our quarterback is going to show you that by hurtling over your linebacker. So that's pretty cool if you ask me. All right, let's move on to the last talking point here. Like I said, it's going to be a short episode, especially without my co-host here. He's the real brains of this operation. I'm just the talking, blabbering idiot who just won't stop. And that's the fact that Jordan Phillips has re-signed for 1 year, $3 million. And I know that this won't affect the comp pink bingo just because Joe Marino told me so, and I believe him. But it's because he re-signed as a free agent of the Bills, so that doesn't count technically. Because I guess it would affect it if the Bills signed another defensive tackle from another franchise. So as long as you re-sign your own, you're good. You could lose a lot of players, but as long as you re-sign your own players, you're technically in a net negative for comp bingo, so you would get rewarded. That's my understanding of it, at least. But I could also be wrong. But anyways, Jordan Phillips, he's back. I really, really like Jordan Phillips when he's healthy, but the last 3-ish seasons, this man has been hurt. Missed a lot of games after he had that breakout year with the Bills, with the Cardinals. Then the year after that, missed a lot of games, got cut. The Bills picked him back up. He plays for a couple games this year, has another hamstring injury, and then like something with his shoulder. I think he only missed like 4 or 5 games or something like that, but he was trying to play through injury, and he was just straight up ineffective, and that's not his fault, right? If you're hurt, you're hurt. I love playing basketball. I love playing volleyball. I love playing golf. I'm a very like sport-oriented person, and nothing sucks more when you're hurt, but you still want to play, and nothing is even more frustrating when you're playing and you can't do what you normally do because you're physically held back. Sometimes you don't even feel pain when you're injured. You just can't do it. And that stuff pisses me off more than anything. Because, like, you don't feel any different. You just can't do it when you know you can. It's like, it's probably one of the most aggravating things and things that actually get under my skin the most. It's just, it really is defeating, and it makes you feel kind of small, if I'm being honest. But I hope Jordan Phillips, I think he's scheduled to get some shoulder surgery to fix that rotator cuff, if that's what he injured. He just seemed like he was injured by a lot of things. But he is scheduled to have surgery in the offseason, and I hope that he comes back healthier than ever, and I hope he can contribute to this defensive tackle room, considering that outside of him, it's just Tim Settle, Ed Oliver, and Daquan Jones. And again, those guys, including Jordan Phillips, are not under contract after this year. Now, after next season. That's a better way to put it. So, we kind of need them to stay healthy, because if one goes down, like, you know, what do we do? Tim Settle, I have a lot of hope for him, but he didn't really show a lot, and he also got hurt a little bit. And then what if one of them goes down for good, and we re-sign one of them? It's just like this huge bet, and the need for defensive tackle and consistent, healthy defensive tackle is just so massive. It's so massive, but we're not thinking about it because we're looking only in the lens of next season. We gotta look forward, be forward thinking, and it sucks, because I just want the Bills to just push all the chips in the middle of the table and just win a damn Super Bowl. But if you want sustained success, you got to learn how to forecast. And I think the Bills have done a good job of that, especially with this offseason, because specifically they didn't make huge moves, and I think that was honestly financially responsible and resource responsible. So, other than that, that's going to wrap it up for today's episode. Thanks for listening if you made it all the way to the end of this episode. I really do appreciate it. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, review our podcast, all that good stuff. It's really, really, really appreciated from here at the Wandering Buffalo team with me, Justin, and Jacob, our executive producer. And if you like our content, I personally guarantee you're going to love the other content on the Buffalo FamBase Network. Like I said, you can find us and the Buffalo FamBase Network by searching on all social media platforms. Like, you name it, we're on it. And we love engaging with fans, so please reach out, talk to us. You got an opinion? Hit us up. You want to be on the show? Yeah, why not? I don't care. Why not? We love having discussion. We're just some average Joes. So come be an average Joe with us. Or Jill. Or whatever. Doesn't matter. Anyways, that's going to do it for today's episode. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next week. And as always, go Bills.